You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of History We Forgot with one of your two co-hosts, Morrison and
Christy Phillips.
Miss Phillips is always back with another teaching gig. Let's talk about that. Today, we got a special episode to mark the occasion. We are doing a preamble to World War II. One of our last episodes, we did talk about the entrance of the United States into World War I. But with this, coinciding with what you're teaching, you've kind of nailed down two big events that happened in the United States post World War I and before World War II. Mm-hmm. And one of those is the Harlem Renaissance. Mm-hmm. Can we let's go into that real quick.
So we ended World War I, and the kids were kind of interested because we did the trench warfare activity.
Yeah,
which went really well this time. I always meet them in the hall, mess them up. Especially first block, because I get kids that show up early in my first block and they're like, why can't we go in the room? I want to put my stuff down. I'm like, no, not today. And
those guys in World War I didn't have no stuff.
Yeah, they didn't get to sit their stuff down. And I was actually really interested because this fell on Halloween too. So I was actually in my Halloween costume. I was a pirate this year. So I had, I had Tigger. I had a Winnie the Pooh. I had an inflatable dinosaur, very easy to hit with a yellow paper ball. That poor kid couldn't hide. Nowhere in the trench for that kid to hide. I had several costumes, and then I had a couple kids who actually paid attention to me when I said you need to dress to move around. And they came in and they participated and they had a good time. I had some of my admin that showed up because I told them we were going to do this. So they showed up, and one of my assistant principals, when he came, he actually filmed it on his phone. He came to the battle, so he filmed the battle. So that was really cool. I
can just imagine like Tigger and Winnie the Pooh just battling down the killing fields of the Robin Hood Woods in Psalm 1917.
Well, luckily they were both on the same side.
Oh, that's not fair. No, Christopher Robin on the other one. Take this, you imaginary bastards.
Well, they were both on the American side.
Well, it is Winnie the Pooh.
They both wrote their letters home. They were both on the American side, so that was interesting. But once they got all that finished...
Dear Mary Beth, you up?
All the way from the American side of things.
Oh, you should have... It might have taken it too far, but just do like a World War I dating profile.
That needs to be a segment.
Yeah.
We need to have the
Tinder bio of some World War I guy just knee deep in the shit.
No, I mean like the tweets from history. That needs to be a segment somewhere.
Oh, tweets from history. Yeah, it would be fun.
Need to do that on the Patreon or something.
Man, these Germans are whack, bro.
Hashtag nuh-uh.
A lot of it would be those two sentence horror stories, but it'd just be about Canadians and how terrible they were during World War II or World War One. Because like the word war crime doesn't translate well into Canadian.
Yeah, for real.
It translates like my bad.
Yeah. But
yeah, so we're doing. You went through that, then you kind of get to that unique spot when teaching history, which I think a lot of people forget when they're in history class, especially when they're doing U.S. history of the 1919 to 1935.
Yeah.
It's a little tight.
Yeah. They got done with the trench warfare, and then they're like, we had so much fun. That was so much fun. We want to do something else fun. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing anything fun. We're going to talk about...
Racism.
Yeah. Welcome to the Red Summer.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's that? I'm like, ugh.
Racism.
Well, I said, we're in the moment between the end of World War I and the Harlem Renaissance, so we're going to talk about the Red Summer. And I did that activity, and that was an entire day. And it was an activity. I put them in groups, and they talked about it. And it was a lot. for some of them.
Yeah.
I had a couple kids who knew a lot about it, which was interesting.
Okay, so they had a pre-game going into it.
Yep. But what was interesting is the kids who knew about it learned some stuff, and then I was able to actually equate it to some more recent events, because there was one of the students called me over, and she said they had a meeting in Madison Square Garden to talk about lynching in 1919. I said, yes, because that was one of the articles that they had to read about the Red Summer. And she said, obviously they didn't solve anything. I said, well, no. And she said, when did they solve anything about this? I said, that would be 2009, when the anti-lynching bill was solved, when it was passed, the Matthew Shepard, James Byrd Jr. Hate crimes bill was passed.
This is kind of a sidetrack. Do you know why we use the word lynching? Named after a man who invented it in Virginia. He was very good at it. He was good at one thing, teaching people how to enslave other people, and his last name was Lynch. He was in the East India Trading Company when Virginia needed his help to take care of an issue, and then Pennsylvania needed his help to take care of an issue, and then it just became the word lynching. You could look this up. There's two stories of it, but the main one is the former slaver who would lynch people as sport, and that's where we get the word. Fun fact, I don't know, just throw that out there. I know they won't let you teach that in school, but because when I think of the area between World War I and World War II, it was this weird, like, mad scientist thing kind of going on when it came to the field of science.
Yeah.
Because you have eugenics.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Yeah. So when you have eugenics, which is like science run amok, and then you have what basically becomes the preamble to the study of genetics, which is important, but eugenics.
Yes.
To infer that there are good genes and bad genes, which takes place a lot in the American South, but also kind of all over. Because we had a history teacher trying to explain to us, Germany, when they started their little rise, their little industrial revolution again, around the 30s, they believed in eugenics. Yeah. But so did the United States.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, a dynasty family of the United States believed in eugenics wholeheartedly, the Kennedys. Yes. I recently came back from West Virginia from the Trans-Allegheny Asylum, and Dr. Friedman, who perfected the lobotomy, believed in eugenics and performed it on one of the Kennedy sisters, and just destroyed her because of the belief that people with mental disorders are the lesser, that you could either kill them or breed them out, which becomes a big part of World War II.
Yes. Later
Later on, we'll talk about that on another story, on our 13-part series on, are the Kennedys really Nazis? Yes, it comes to that, but it takes 13 hours to get there, and I'm all for it.
Or that'll be on your Triple C.
That'll be on my Triple C episode. The Kennedys are Nazis. Bootlegging Irish Nazis. But no, so like you have this world, the world as a whole is changing, but they're all kind of destroying themselves through economic disparity with the Black Tuesday, which is the fall of the Wall Street market.
Yes.
Do you know why it fell? Do you know what caused the Great Depression?
The quick version that I told the kids is everybody borrows. Basically, everybody goes to the stock market and they treat it like credit.
So
that was the quick and ugly version.
So what happened was, when you put your money into the bank, there was no FDIC to protect your deposit. So the bank could say, oh, you put $20 in, we're going to use that money and you might get it back. What happened was they used the money to invest into private equity, and the value of equity lowered because everyone's buying land, and there was plenty to go around, so we need to sell it cheap because they'll just go somewhere and buy it cheaper. So it became this downfall of American equity so quick that there was a run on the bank when the bank started foreclosing on themselves. And so the government had to step in and create the Federal Deposits Insurance Company, the FDIC, which protects our money that we put into the bank.
Yes.
Up to $100,000. But it also kept banks, it kept them from saying, oh, you can take that money and buy land with it or buy homes with it. They repealed that in 1999. They can do that now. That's why we had the housing market crash. But no, that's basically what happened. But this happened worldwide. People don't realize, like, as bad as it was here, this happened worldwide.
Yeah, I explained to the kids that after it crashed here, it crashed in Germany too, which was why Germany was so bad off.
Yeah, Germany's was hyperinflation that happened overnight because they owed money from World War One.
Yeah, I explained that too, because we gave them that little loan because we were the last ones they were going to have to pay back anyway.
Yeah, it becomes the Three Stooges.
Yeah, pretty much.
The $2 loan, Three Stooges gag. He's like, you owe me $2. Okay, hold on. Curly, you owe me $2. Oh shit, hold on. Hey Mo, you owe me $2. And it's just, and that's how it works. That's how the economy works. It's about the movement of money. If money stops moving, it becomes less valuable. And what was funny was, like, it's not really funny, but it's fucked up. But like, Germany was in this giant circle of inflation through 3 different countries: United States, France, and Britain.
Yeah.
They had all this money that they were burning because it didn't have value. Because at the time, there is no European Union. There is no euro. There are Deutschmarks, francs,
pounds,
the pound sterling, and the American dollar. And we're not talking about the Cougarans, the Danish francs. We're not talking about all the other countries that are forming and creating their own currency. That still exists today in a weird way, but the euro is the standard. Like, you could go to Germany and get you a Deutschmark, but you can also get euros.
Yeah, just like you can go to Ireland and get a euro, but you can also still get pounds.
Pounds fucking sterling. I love that term. It's like cash on the barrel. It's their redneck version of cash on the barrel.
Yeah, it is.
But with theirs was a little bit different game because it's hyperinflation. And then Britain and France, their depression is caused because they can't tell who's getting paid first. Well, why does Britain get their money from Germany first? It's like, they're not getting money from Germany because it's fucking worthless.
Yeah, they're technically getting their money from us for a minute.
Yeah, and this kind of starts a process for the United States when it comes to lending help.
Yes.
This idea of, should the United States do it again at any point? And across the United States, it's nope. Laissez-faire diplomacy. We will never help an ally overseas again because they'll never help us.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, the United States never had a threat of invasion after World War One. That was Japan, but not really.
Well, we didn't think about Japan.
Well, Japan during that time had just completed, at the turn of the century, the Russo-Japanese War. Yeah. Where they defeated the Russians with the help of American artillery. But even with that, they still had to deal with the government of Manchuria through China. So there's a trade issue. There's, an empire rising to Japan during this time that are firm allies with the United States in the 1920s. Babe Ruth goes to Japan and plays baseball with the Japanese. A high school Japanese player strikes him out. It's fucking wild, but it's like a goodwill mission. It's just like, hey, the Japanese are America light. kind of like what happened with Korea. Seoul, Korea is America Light. They're the 51st fucking state. They should have a star on the flag. They really fucking should. Just like Guam and fucking Puerto Rico. But even with that being said, it's such a bad time to be alive.
Yeah.
But we also get this little glimmer that will be a whole 2 episodes for us. The outlaw. The 1920s and 30s American outlaw.
Yeah, the gangsters.
Yeah, the original gangsters. I don't, when you say original gangsters, I think of Al Capone. Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky. But the American outlaw was Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson, Ma Barker and her boys. That's a whole different breed of criminal.
The quote-unquote bank robbers.
Yeah, public enemies. You're fast and loose. Your cartoon characters. The other guys, Capone and all them, they were your those guys.
Yeah, your mob bosses.
Yeah, your mobs. But those guys, the guys, came from poor, towns like Omaha, Nebraska, and Kansas City and shit, who just fucking were poor as dirt.
They came from the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, they were like, fuck this noise.
Yeah. The only thing
mine.
we're eating is dirt. We're getting out and going for better things.
Because we had brought it up when we had talked about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They were born in this era. They were, Malcolm X was alive in Omaha, Nebraska when John Dillinger was putting bullets in cops and shit.
And robbing banks.
And Pretty Boy Floyd was getting shot in an orchard. And we also get a rise in the United States of law and order. Turn of the century, we've conquered the West. We have our states already lined up. We had our 48 states by 1900. Everything's kind of going the way it should. Hawaii and Alaska are a secondary thought. No one really thinks about them. They don't really exist. Alaska doesn't really exist. It's just a Russian-Canadian province.
Yeah.
And Hawaii is a forward operating base out in the Pacific. But by the time the 20s come along, with the economic change of the world going downhill very quickly, they kind of set themselves up for a worldwide resource war.
Yeah.
Which becomes World War II. Or the Great War Part 2. Because at that time, I love telling this. It's like the old joke. Why did they call it War One? Did they know another one was coming? No. It was called the Great War.
Yeah, that's what I had to explain to the kids. The kids are like, I actually had some why did they call it World War One if they knew World War Two? No, they didn't. That's why they called it the war to end all wars.
Yeah, and
they're done now.
Another thing is, like we talked about during our talk about World War One, is how you change the game on how to fight a war. You dig a trench, you put a battle line in, no man's land. Everyone's got a rifle that could put 5 shots down range in a minute. That is new. Brand fucking new when it comes to warfare. No ballista lines like the Civil and American Revolution. None of this bullshit. The before all this, you have the Spanish-American War with Teddy Roosevelt just being like, I'm going to invade Panama, and I don't think God could stop me. And he was right. No man or God could stop me. And so he killed a bunch of Panamanians instead. So,
and then you also got to think, we talked about it when we talked about World War One, where you have horseback cavalry going up against tanks.
But brand new tanks.
But still.
Experimental armored things.
But still.
Yeah.
Can you imagine running into battle on a horse and going up against a tank?
And that's why I think the United States... this is what I like about war. It's very convenient when it comes to inventions. We need to invent something really big, real quick. The French, they had the Shogun, which was a shitty fucking machine gun. The Maxim machine gun, which was the premier machine gun of Germany. And then some guy said, "Well, I got a shotgun I use to hunt quail and ducks. But what if it shot like 8 of them?"
At the same time.
And you could just keep going. And I gave it to some 18-year-old from Nebraska who doesn't speak a lick of German. And I told him they're all a bunch of dog-killing demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll win the whole goddamn thing. He's got God on his side.
And,
boom, boom, boom. And just like, that won it.
Yep.
That did it. The guy with the shotgun.
And my favorite invention for World War I, the carrier pigeon.
Yeah. Well, the carrier pigeon had been around for a very long time, but it was the idea of just like shoot that goddamn thing out of the fucking air.
Yeah.
Hey, I got it. Boom. And that's why you have clay pigeons.
Yeah, I imagine no bird was safe in World War I.
I will say, in high school, I was really good at shooting clay pigeons. I was fucking phenomenal with a shotgun. I was a surgeon with that motherfucker. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're talking about a big economic downturn of all nations after 1922. Germany figures out a plan. They have a plan. Mm-hmm. Nationalism mixed with socialism. And folks, there is no bigger argument I will have with you than the definition of the word socialism and the definition of the word nationalism. These are two different ideologies on two different lines.
Let's see if we're going to have the same one, because I have two things. I have nationalism and then I have extreme nationalism.
So these two things are good unless they're together.
See, what I told the kids is I say that there is nationalism, which is it's okay to be proud of your country and where you're from and the place where you live, and that's fine. Until you say it's better than everybody else's. That's what I consider extreme nationalism.
So when it became, they use nationalism as an ideology of the country. Mm-hmm. I see nationalism as an ideology of finance. No private company should be dealing our resources in the United States. That's just how I feel. America's oil is America's. Mm-hmm. America's timber is America's. Mm-hmm. Anything made within the borders of the United States shouldn't really be leaving unless you absolutely have to. That's how nationalist I am. Mm-hmm. The fact that we allow British Petroleum to dig up our oil is disgusting. But that's just how I feel. But I'm never going to say, oh, no, you need to be American 100%. If you don't like America, fuck you. No, America can be critiqued. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of bad shit. Mm-hmm. America's the shit. Mm-hmm. But we've done a lot of terrible things to get here. Okay? Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I love the United States. I wouldn't live anywhere else. But fuck, we can fix it, you know?
I'm with you there. I love this country. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and we have a wonderful history, but we got some rough stuff we need to talk about in our history.
You can be proud of your country and acknowledge the bad stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you're Germany. Unless you're Germany, you shut the fuck up.
Hey.
You right the fuck up, and do not talk. You are not allowed to talk in the room. I have this kind of idea of like if the lower 25 states in a subject, like let's say, if we got 50 states and an education bill comes up, mm-hmm. the people who are ranked 25 and below shouldn't be allowed to vote. You guys are fucking dumb. Obviously, you are fucking up.
Rude.
Yeah. So if you're dead last, maybe we don't need to hear from you about how we need to teach fucking math, okay? Maybe you don't get a fucking vote. But that's just me. That's another game we play down the road in Something Good Network. If you were in charge, what would you do? Mine would be horrific. There would be a manifesto.
Yes.
I would write it from my jail cell. I'm kidding. No one's arresting me. I'll take a bullet.
Oh, my God.
I'll write my words on bullets. But going back to Germany, they took nationalism as a political identity.
Yes.
Instead of a financial identity.
Yes.
They took socialism mm-hmm. as a public good, but since it mixed with nationalism, it's only for Germans.
Yeah.
It's let's take care of Germany, but only the true Germans. And then you get into the murky waters of what is a true German.
That's where the eugenics thing comes in.
Yes. A great pioneer in eugenics was a pilot from the United States. Charles Lindbergh. I would say he's not good at keeping an eye on a baby, but he's really good at making them. I think Amelia Earhart killed him.
Hey!
I think Amelia Earhart killed that baby and escaped to Japan. But that's a Triple C episode.
I would be happy to make a Triple C episode about how I think it was a setup that he planned.
Oh, that Charles Lindbergh killed Amelia Earhart?
No. That Charles Lindbergh had the baby kidnapped and killed.
No, I think it was a dumb criminal who tried to extort money. Because fun fact, the American outlaws that we've talked about had got into the kidnapping business. One of those is the Barker gang.
Yes.
Who kidnapped a guy with the last name of Ham, and it went south very quickly. And because of that, the FBI formed with that weird dude Hoover.
Yeah.
And the Charles Lindbergh thing was a big case for the FBI. We get the science of basically the Sherlock Holmes way of doing investigation, deduction.
Yeah.
You know, they were real big into fingerprints, ear prints, you know, things that can identify a person out the gate. This person used a ladder. Well, can we find out where the ladder came from? They created a whole catalog system of identifying ways to find criminals. But kidnapping was the bread and butter of a lot of gangsters who just didn't rob banks. Mainly the Barker Karpus gang. Because before that it was like robbing trains and banks and shit.
Yeah.
So in that part of, you know, the world that you know, up for us, that was the big thing. But going back to Charles Lindbergh, he had his little hidden families all overseas. But what he did admire, though, not just the eugenics part of it, was the German engineering.
Yes.
Of the internal combustion engine. You could say what you want about the Germans, but they are super fucking efficient. Just like the Japanese are really good at this one thing. And if I wanted a car, it'd probably be made by Germans.
Yeah.
It's a fucking solid vehicle.
I'm there with you, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, those ragtag motherfuckers from the United States been like, oh, it's good. But you don't need all them bolts. No, we ripped
You can leave a couple of them out here and there.
Nah, fuck that. Make this thing light. Let's get this thing going. You know, your preambled NASCAR motherfuckers, your Southern bootleggers, and been like, we could put alcohol in that goddamn engine and run fine. Meanwhile, the German guy's screaming like, "What the fuck are you doing?
You're missing 8 bolts."
Yeah, but like
9.
Yeah, but like America was bigger. You know, that was the main, and that's still like kind of today. You know, bigger. You know, let's make it big. And then after 1980, it was just like, let's make it scary and fast.
Yeah.
And you can't see it. But that's later on.
Yeah.
But the United States and Germany, you know, they have this laissez-faire policy. And then you have this little fella show up in Germany, a World War I veteran, who may be a little tight under the collar about some things.
A little?
Maybe he, you know, if I wanted to paint and someone told me I sucked, I might have, you know, lost my shit. But,
especially if it was the only thing you could do after you got back.
Yeah. But, like, I don't think I would go that far. You know, if someone said...
I wouldn't try to destroy an entire race of people just because one or two people told me I couldn't paint good.
Now, if they didn't serve me beer, I might have a problem. They couldn't let me have a drink or two, but I digress. But no... If you take out, and this is very selective of how you do things, he takes Germany, Adolf Hitler takes Germany to the next step with National Socialism, Nazism. Around this time, communism has already took a hold in Russia.
Yes. With
the Bolsheviks murdering the royal family in Russia. That sets off a fucking storm in Europe because of the royal families. One is the story of, you know, Tsar Nicholas's cousin, who was the king of England at the time, who didn't provide aid to get his family out of Russia because they did not want to interfere, because they knew communism was on the rise, and if they got the, you know, Romanovs out, the communists of Britain would have been like, oh no, look, they're all banding together. This is what we've been talking about. All the royal families are actually all together. It's not the fact they all fucking look alike. It's not like if I took the, you know, Kaiser Wilhelm and Tsar Nicholas II and King George V and put them all in a room together, you couldn't tell them apart.
They put them all in the same suit. Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, they look all the fucking same because they all have the same fucking grandparents.
Yeah.
But with that, you got communism, which is on paper sounds good. But it's
Everything sounds good on paper.
but it's not socialism.
Right.
Socialism is very simple. You take the money from the taxes and even it out to services. Mm-hmm. We have socialism here because we pay for police and fire departments, medical care to an extent with Medicare, Medicaid. We have Social Security for people who work and live and retire. Mm-hmm. We have those. We spend money on public schools. This is how socialism works. Mm-hmm. Theirs was tied to nationalism, where only those social services could only work for true Germans. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there are people that exist that are making things worse. The myth of the Jew, which goes back to Europe far before Hitler came along.
Yeah.
But with going into that, he does the whole rise economically. Mm-hmm. But we need to put people back to work. That's why they're starving.
Yes.
They're not working, and the money they do have is shit. Let's tell Britain and France, fuck you, we're not paying you any goddamn money. And they accepted that. They literally just accepted that. Mm-hmm. Which is wild.
Yeah.
Just fucking wild. That it's like, we're not paying you anymore. Go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a fear that had developed in Europe of, do we pop off a few rounds in Germany again because they owe us money? Without the help of the United States.
Yeah.
Because they've already said they're not going to help us.
Yeah, I think it was kind of, nobody wanted to go back to a world war after what happened with the first one. Nobody wanted that. And I also think there might have been a little bit of guilt about exactly how bad they all knew the Versailles Treaty had been.
Yeah. So the Versailles Treaty is very inept when it comes to the nations of Europe.
Yeah.
America didn't really give a shit.
Yeah. America was just like, can we sign this so we can go home?
Woodrow Wilson wanted the League of Nations.
Yes.
Which becomes the UN later down the road. But it was a good idea. Hey, these are ambassadors of every government coming together for a common cause and laying out grievances. And we as a group of leaders can lay it out as a democracy on how we fix this.
Yeah.
A country can come to the rest of the country and be like, guys, we're fucked. We need some help, and this is what we could do.
Yeah.
In the United Nations, it kind of works. Mm-hmm. But the League of Nations, you still have people whose governments are run by kings and queens, which there is no getting along with kings and queens. Like, as many people talk about how bad the communists were in Russia, the aristocracy was just as bad, if not worse. You don't get a million farmers banding together, start murdering royals without the royals doing some bad shit. Okay, that doesn't happen.
My mind immediately goes to Braveheart. I'm sorry.
But that's true. Think about the mentality of a king or a queen. God chose my family to keep you peasants in line. That's what that means. That's what aristocracy means. You believe a entity chose you to be in charge, and then you fucked your fucking family to create this monstrosity of a prince who looks like a sideshow freak that they're dangling around in the 20s fucking United States. Come and see. Flatface. That's wild to me that doesn't get taught in history class.
Yeah.
That, hey, yeah, it's bad, but it was so much fucking worse. Mm-hmm. Pirates exist because one guy, his mom was his uncle's sister. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's ramifications of cousin fucking for royals.
For anybody, but
for anybody. But back in the United States, going back to science, Germany was the premier science when it came to health.
Yes.
And they come to the United States and kind of bring that with them. Mm-hmm. And in the United States, you do have doctors and, scientists coming together and being like, we need to figure some stuff out. Mm-hmm. This is where your Louis Pasteurs come in before World War I. This is where, hey, we found a guy who invented penicillin.
Yep. And
destroyed polio.
And eugenics was over here too prior.
Yeah, but that's part of eugenics. That was part of the eugenics. It's just like, this is another science.
Yeah.
It's not a good science. It's fucking horrific. But,
it's stupid and it doesn't work.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about science is you can prove it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. That was just like the pillars of the new sciences that were coming in. We went from phrenology, the study of slaves and why they're slaves, which is a joke science, and it involves into eugenics, which is euthanasia of those who are lesser.
Which, when it was over here, we used it on African Americans.
Yes, that comes across around post World War II and the Tuskegee experiments. Yes. But before World War II, you have some other called. After World War II, they're called the Tulane tests. Mm-hmm. Before World War II, I'm not really sure what they're called, but it's the experiments on the mentally handicapped. Yes. Those who with Down syndrome, Asperger's, high levels of autism, non-functioning people who don't talk, stuff like that.
You also have people who try to cure things like blindness, deafness, things like that in family history.
Yeah. So the belief that you could transfer it down the line through genetics was kind of true, but not to the level that not to the level they believed. Yeah, you could the gene that causes blindness can be transferable. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. But to kill the person that's blind so they don't have children is an overstep.
Yeah.
Another one is the shape of someone's skull predetermines that they might be a criminal. Yeah. That somehow genetically they want to break the law.
Yeah.
Which changes all the time. Yeah. So, yeah, preamble to World War II, people are kind of fucking dumb.
Also, one of the things that messed me up is when they do that, the study of somebody's skull, they also studied World War I veterans who had received blows to the head in World War I. And I'm like, you can't do that because even if your science was correct, they've had blows to the head in some of the areas that you swear is going to make them a criminal.
Yeah. Well, you have people who are showing signs of mental derangement. It's PTSD.
Yeah.
They don't have that term, though.
Yeah.
Before that, it was 1,000-yard stare. Before that, it was something else. And before that, it was something else. Yeah. Kind of like how we get to the word mentally retarded. Mm-hmm. That was the word. Yeah. And before that, it was imbecile. And before that, it was moron. And before that, it was something else. Mm-hmm. The word changes over time, but it's still the same fucking thing. And that's just small microcosm of what kind of kicks World War II off.
Also, I would be regress to not mention all of the horrifying things that they tried to cure the women of.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the 1800s.
Yeah.
Feminine hysteria is real.
Sure.
It's just called anxiety.
No, it's called, I want to sit down and read a book.
Wrong.
That's feminine hysteria. I want to sit down and read a book every once in a while.
Yeah. Mary Beth, why are you reading that fiction that whore Mary Shelley wrote?
I just want to sit down and read a book
Hush.
for a while.
Hush. I think your corset is too loose.
No, you think my corset is so loose.
Tighten and knock the fucking breath out of her a little bit. Maybe she'll just fall asleep again. The female
quote
health science, quote unquote, is a fucking joke.
Currently, it still is.
Yeah, but you have feminine hysteria, Christy.
Yeah, I'm a woman and I'm hysterical about it.
Yes. It's the bee's knees, goddammit. Hey, you can vote.
Yes, in 1920, we finally got the ability to vote.
Worst fucking mistake the United States made since creating Israel.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there eventually, guys. We'll get there. Once they solve their shit, we'll do a whole fucking episode about it. In 2,000 years.
I'm just saying.
Took 2,000 years to get here. We'll get another 2,000 to go. But with those sciences, evolving and taking a misstep and then evolving again, taking another fucking misstep. Mm-hmm. It is, I will say, probably the wildest time to be alive.
Yes.
Because as much as we have the information age now, and we have to get bogged down through truth and fiction and what's real and the horrors that is possible AI and, deep fakes and trying to think, hey, did he really say this? Did she really do that? Kind of, we're living in that world of consequence, run amok. Back then, the golden age of fuck it. Like, the 1925 to 1939 in America was the golden age of get fucked.
Yeah.
I will do whatever I goddamn please. Ain't nothing you or the goddamn cops can do about it. Yeah. That's another thing, too. People didn't trust the banks, but they sure as hell didn't like the cops either.
No.
That is the most wild fucking shit about reading about, American public enemies is, because I read the book Public Enemies, and it's a story of all of them and their cohesiveness together, mainly about a guy named Alan Karpus, who got out scot-free. This motherfucker is the creepiest motherfucker in history you've ever seen in your goddamn life. And somehow he made it out alive and all the other ones got killed. This motherfucker knew them all and made it out alive. Crafty son of a bitch. Creepy Alvin, creepy Karpus. If you guys get a chance, look him up. He had plastic surgery for the first. He shacked up with Ma Barker for a while. He fucking ran guns for John Dillinger. He was the first, he was there the whole fucking time in the background. And it's just like, this little bastard? John Dillinger gets killed out in goddamn public, but this motherfucker lived. Babyface Nelson got gunned down shooting at cops from a fucking Model T. Got lit the fuck up by fucking killers.
Yeah.
Barney Parker and Clyde Barrow lit the fuck up.
Yeah.
All these people just murdered, cold-blooded too.
Yeah.
And this guy survived. He's one of those guys in history. He's like one of those background characters you hear about that you can't teach in history.
Yeah.
Like, you ever heard of Alvin Dulles? The guy that created CIA.
Yeah.
Scariest guy in American history.
Yes.
George Washington, 6'2" monster. It's scary.
Yeah.
Alvin Dulles is like, oh yeah, I could kill J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah, I could do it. It's not that hard. I could wear him like a Hoover sweatsuit. Like,
ew.
Like, he could. He was that guy. He was that far deep in the terrible things that is the United States government.
Yeah.
Alvin Dulles, and they named an airport after him.
Yeah.
Him and his shitty little brother. But I can't teach that in history class because the kids would be like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, you've already traumatized some of them when you talked about Belgium.
Well, Belgium is Belgium first, okay? Belgium first, goddammit. Waffles and all. Waffles as far as you guys could see in the Congo. Belgium, waffles and diamonds. But going into, the United States, they're coming out of, they're going through the Dust Bowl, which is an agricultural fucking nightmare.
Yes.
You're coming off 3 presidents who just fucked us. You got Coolidge, Hoover, and then FDR shows up. And FDR going into it is corrupt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt came from the rich Roosevelts, not the Theodore Roosevelts he was poor. The rich Roosevelts started an opium war in China. That's a fact. That is not conspiracy. That's a goddamn fact. That's how he made his money. The Hyde Park Roosevelts were one of those allies to Japan through China. So you can kind of understand why Japan kind of hated us, because of a giant oil embargo he does to keep the United States flush during the... Now, he does have the New Deal.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Valley Authority, Oak Ridge.
FDIC.
All this. All this part of the New Deal, which they fucking fumble when Truman comes and Eisenhower come. They kind of fumble it. But they kind of had to. Everybody got tired and wanted to create the middle class, so we got to do something. But with the New Deal and everything coming up, it's on the pretense that, hey, we may have to do something else on top. And no one had the forethought to think, what if it was a war? Yeah. And you look back at the leaders who were in charge during the time that this war kicks off. You have Emperor Hirohito, fascist leader Mussolini, Nazi himself, King Shit, Adolf Hitler. Those are your Axis powers.
Yeah.
World War II is black and white. very quickly.
Yes.
Joseph Stalin, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and a veteran, Churchill, who is very, very old school British when it comes to dealing with Germans.
Yep.
Of let's kill them all.
Yeah.
Y'all fucked it up last time I was there.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys.
Yeah.
But
Churchill is very kill 'em all, let God sort 'em out.
yes. Patton, kind of the same way. But Patton was a Nazi sympathizer, so to an extent. So I don't really like him. But with that being said, our lesser people of, Eisenhower, Patton, and your lessers, Rommel, or not Rommel, but like Himmler, his guys, all them. You have all these underlings who were just like, we probably shouldn't kill the face of the fucking party. Like, we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yet.
But even FDR had his problems.
Yeah.
At one point, and this is a conspiracy more than anything, was with fascism rising in Germany, business rose in Germany.
Yes.
Adidas is one of those companies. Hugo Boss, Chanel. Mm-hmm. These are all companies that worked with the Nazis.
Yeah.
Either because they had to or they fucking wanted to.
Volkswagen
was actually just German, like a literally German government company. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. That's what it's a people's wagon.
Yeah.
People's car. Fuck yeah. Fast as fuck, boy.
Yeah, but they refused to denounce their alliance until I think 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, but they were created by Nazis. Like, it's literally a high-functioning vehicle was created by Nazis. You're not going to deny that. You can't really deny it. Like, oh no, we did. We made fucking tanks and shit.
Well, okay. On that case, then the company that made Zyklon B gas, refused to take the symbol. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, you can go online and find the original pictures of the Zyklon B canisters.
Yeah,
they used the same symbol up until I think 3 years ago.
I think that comes down to how far do you tie the company to its client. Hugo Boss. Made the SS uniform.
Yes.
It's crisp. Like, I don't give a fuck what era and time you live in. I know they're evil motherfuckers, but damn, they are crisp. All right? You can't say the Nazi uniform looks bad. But
I'll say it like this.
Is Hugo Boss a villain? Chanel is.
I have a book. It's not here at the moment. It is being borrowed by a relative, but it is all about the uniforms. Yeah. The Nazi uniforms and where they came from, where the ideas came from. And the whole point of them is that they are recognizable from a distance and that they are meant to be like nothing you've ever seen and that they are meant to be intimidating looking.
Yeah.
And
it's a villain.
It's a villain's uniform. You can tell.
We live in the time of, we grew up seeing, villains in comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even if those didn't exist, you saw that. You was like, that's an evil person.
Yeah, bad guy. Ding, 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 ding.
The skull and crossbones gives it away. But, like, at some point, one other German's looking at another German, and it's like, I looks bad. I looks means, but I looks good. Like, crisp. I can move. Look at me, Hans. Look at me go. And then a Finnish sniper just blows his fucking brains out and his fucking whole memory just goes out the fucking window. Go Finland. Never exist. They don't exist. It's a fallacy. But with those, the companies that helped, they come about. Adidas, Puma. Yeah. Because of the Olympics. But you're talking about a turnaround of a country that everyone's going to idolize for a good 2 years.
Yeah.
If you're an American in 1935 living on a dirt farm, trying to turn it into something else.
Especially if you're an immigrant and that's where you came from.
Well, not just that. Some of those immigrants got out what they're getting was good. Mm-hmm. They saw the writing on the wall. But some of those other ones are like, who've been here for a while, are like, the fatherland's doing pretty good. I think we should go back. I think we've made a mistake. And that's where the rub is with America. Italy goes full turn.
Yeah.
And it's done it this year. Same way. A right-wing government has taken control of Italy as of today, after their election. Same with the Netherlands. Authoritarianism, a new word for fascism, is creeping across Europe. And, it could play out the same as last time, depending on how America does. But I don't think it's going to be very subtle on this go around.
I have not seen this. So.
Don't.
Don't.
Don't. Current events kind of suck right now. It's very wishy-washy.
Not gonna lie, I have not seen.
You're gonna start thinking like me for a little bit if you start watching it. Just think of your true crime about your documentaries that go nowhere.
I'm not gonna talk about that documentary.
Watch those fun ones like the Twin Flames.
Not watching that either.
Sex cults.
Out. Sticking to my true crime documentaries.
But with those rise of fascism, National Socialism, and imperialism in Japan, those countries are digging themselves out of a problem that shouldn't really exist. Poverty.
Yes.
And they're doing it in a very fast way.
Yes.
Quick solutions to broad problems, which do not work out in the long run, i.e. the end of fucking World War II.
Yeah.
But the United States, until about 1941, tail end of 41, doesn't give a fuck about Europe.
Purposefully.
They send some stuff to Britain because they're an ally, because we need somebody on the other side of the Atlantic to keep people from putting boats on our way.
And because Britain is screaming at us.
Yeah. But
specifically Churchill is screaming at us from the top of his lungs.
Yeah. I think it was Churchill had that quote. Democracy is a terrible way to run government, but it's the best we've got right now.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, it sounds like so. He's like, democracy is awful, but it's the best thing we got.
Sounds like
so
him.
far, it's the best thing we got.
May not be him, but it sounds like him.
Yeah, but we are sending aid at this time. Mm-hmm. But another little thing happens before this. A couple of German scientists who got out of Nuremberg and Frankfurt while the getting was good, as the Glorious Bastard says, got the fuck out of Munich while the getting was good. A couple of them said, hey, there's this new science, guys, called the atom and nuclear energy.
Oh, no.
So Madame Curie, a woman, figured out how radiation works. And she saved a lot of lives in World War I through x-rays and saying, hey, old Tim here broke his leg in the Somme. Well, let's cut it off. Whoa, you don't have to cut it off. No, let's look at it. X-ray it.
We can look at the inside of it.
And maybe we don't need to cut his fucking leg off.
We can just wrap it in this plaster and leave it for a little while.
Fucking solved. Problem solved. Problem staying solved. Curie leads the way. Except she also invented cancer. Like, she may have accidentally invented cancer. Because she came up with radium. And radium was another miracle science. Like heroin. Let's talk, you talked about Zyklon B, the manufacturers of that. Bayer invented good old-fashioned heroin. And it's a wonder drug.
Hey, so was cocaine for a little while.
And you mix them together, little Timmy ain't yelling at the goddamn TV no more. In fact, Timmy's shutting the fuck up. God. All right. Oh, is your wife sad all the time? Bayer can fix that. Real goddamn quick. Solved. Mommy's Little Helpers.
I was going to say.
Benny and the Jets.
Oh, my.
Tell me that song was about fucking Benny's. Like, I listen to that song all the time. I'm just like, he's singing about barbiturates. Like, why Weird Al doesn't have a song about Benny and the Jets? Like, I don't know. And it's just about heroin.
Oh, my God.
But, another part of the wave of new science between World War I and World War II. Now it's kind of reined in.
Yeah.
All the new science that America creates for the military is called DARPA. And they're fucking secretive as shit. If I see somebody with a DARPA badge, I'm going the other fucking way because that guy's probably invented some kind of machine to rip my head off with a robot arm on the side of an RC car. Like an IED in a Walmart bag. You know, just like, that's what they're inventing. Some scary science shit. Nazi level scary Nazi shit. But it actually works as opposed to the Nazi bullshit that didn't work. That's another thing that if I was a teacher, I would tell them. Nazis did all this science. It was fucking worthless. All their eugenics research is worthless. Mm-hmm. One guy worked on some rockets. Mm-hmm. We took him.
Yep.
The rest were dumb.
Yeah, we black bagged that one guy.
There was Heisenberg, who worked on his nuclear energy. He was kind of slow. Our guy's a little quick on the trigger. Got a guy named Oppenheimer showed up.
Yep.
And he had some problems with it. He had some, what's the word for it? Regrets. But that's working in the background the whole time. Mm-hmm. While the Germans are kicking ass and taking names. And let's go into that real quick. What is their first move? Take back the Rhineland. That's their first move. And France gives it to them. It's theirs. You can have it.
Yet again, I say guilt.
Yeah. But France is dealing with a depression.
Yeah.
An economic depression, just like Europe, just the rest of Europe. Spain goes full fucking authoritarianism. They have their own little fucking fascist government going on. Mm. They don't really pop off in World War II. They're allies with the Nazis on a weird front. It's kind of hard to explain what happens to Spain during World War II. Mm-hmm. Pan's Labyrinth is kind of a great fucking version of that.
Yeah.
But they take back the Rhineland. Mm-hmm. They move into Austria-Hungary.
They ride into Austria-Hungary.
With a red fucking carpet.
Yep.
Czechoslovakia. And then September of 1939, they invade Poland.
Yes.
A new nation. Mm-hmm. On the preemptive strike that is, Russia will help us. And we'll just split it down the middle. We'll break bread with Russia. Yep. That is Poland.
Yep. We'll break Poland in half.
And Poland did their best.
Yep. They fought hard for 3 days. Hard.
And I think that's what scared the Allied forces. Was they took a whole nation in 3 days.
That scared the hell out of Churchill.
Yeah.
He had no idea it was going to be that bad.
And I think when you see stuff like that, because it was a blitzkrieg effect,
yes.
It was their tactic of hard press.
Yes.
Full press, the football term, the blitz, mm-hmm. Go for the capital, go for the quarterback, boom, boom, boom. Do not stop. Anything's in your way, you take it the fuck out and you slaughter it.
Well, not only did they do that with the torchlight parades and everything with so much flash and so much misdirection, yeah. They did that on the battlefield too.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk about how a country shows off, mm-hmm. No one did it like the Nazis.
Yeah.
A military parade sounds like a fucking joke when you write it down.
No, it just sounds exactly like that. But it sounds like a parade.
But it sounds kind of dumb. Like
when you think about a parade, you think about like a local town parade where you have like floats, or like July 4th, people marching,
July 4th, Christmas, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Theirs was goose stepping across Europe.
Yeah.
And this is a psychology part of it that kicks in. Mm-hmm. The red, black, and white.
Yep.
Put that together. Those are the first colors you see.
Yep.
When you're born. Those are colors you acknowledge. I know this because I had black, white, and red posters in my room. Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. My nieces fucking loved those things. Mm-hmm. They would stop crying if they saw those because those are colors they see. Mm-hmm. Those are primary colors psychologically. Mm-hmm. Red, white, and blue are not.
Yeah.
But red, white, and black, it kind of sends, like subconsciously, it sends a message. Mm. And no one, I don't think, even today, if you were to show somebody with a Nazi flag, they probably don't know what Nazis are, but they see that and like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Or that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Germans, that was their identity on a flag. And I'm not going to get into the history of the fucking swastika.
We'll be here all day.
It doesn't mean what it used to mean. Let's just get the fuck over it.
It's changed hands so many times.
Yeah.
Christian symbol was a Buddhist symbol. It's been everything.
Who gives a shit?
It's been everything.
Who gives a
Well,
shit?
it doesn't matter. It's a perverted symbol in their hands. That's the most important thing. That's what I tell the kids all the time.
But when you have stuff as like birth of a what is it called? Not birth of a nation. Their little movie they made, a little documentary, Rise of a Nation. The little Nazi propaganda film they made.
Oh, the one you're talking about where it's the...
All Nazi flags every day.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The torchlight parades.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
Birth of a Nation is the KKK movie from like 1800, but which created the look, what the Klan looks like. But no, they are a lot about pomp and circumstance.
Yes.
There's a look that's associated.
The uniforms.
The helmets even.
Yes.
The helmet design is made to not take a bullet, but deflect a bullet.
Yes.
To put it off its path. It's smooth, as opposed to that weird pan helmet that the United States doughboys had, or the Kaiser helmet with a spike on it, which actually served a purpose, but like is stupid. But theirs was, I got a highly trained athletic guy. He knows what he's doing with the weapons I give him, and I give him a shit ton of them. And I told him that God told him to do it because it's in his blood. And then I gave him a shit ton of meth in his pocket, wrapped in chocolate.
Yep.
Good German chocolate. I wouldn't be surprised if Ghirardelli's was probably part of that. Who made Prividin?
Not Ghirardelli's.
Yep. They made meth chocolate.
No.
Throw your Hugo Boss shoes away. They're so comfortable. But with those kind of things on the other side of the ocean here in the United States, there is a rise of that. That idea of like, let's do what Germany's doing. Let's take a page out of their playbook and let's start doing that shit.
Yeah.
The rise of American Nazism.
Mm-hmm.
The America First is probably the best way to describe that. We talked about it briefly about Meyer Lansky and a group of the Night at the Garden.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the things the kids are going to watch.
Yeah, so Night at the Garden, Meyer Lansky and some good old boy New Yorkers get together and wait outside with sticks for the American Nazi Party to let out, and they corral these boys and start beating the dog shit out of them. Because Meyer Lansky, if anything, gangster, hoodlum, is an American. A proud American. They should put him on the dime. But he snuck off to Israel, and then they caught his ass and brought him back here. Happens. He's one of those Roji gangsters. He's one of those American outlaws. But here, with the rise of eugenics and the compromises we're making on how to deal with allies, potential enemies, because history tells us that the Nazis did not want America to come over there.
No.
If anything, they wanted an ally in the Americas. And the United States was right up their fucking alley. Hell yeah. Like, Hitler admired the United States.
Yep.
There are some weird letters. There was a... this is like context of history wise. Gandhi had wrote a letter to Hitler. Have you heard of this letter? In all certain words, Gandhi wrote a letter to Hitler that said, hey, chill the fuck out.
I mean, that makes sense.
If you want a slang version of what he said, chill the fuck out. Look into yourself. Basically, he's telling him how to meditate a little bit and rein it back. Gandhi did that. There was a school that had a gas leak and exploded in Texas. Blew the fuck up. Hitler wrote a letter to the town. Germany weeps for you. Like, we're horrified to hear about this. if you need anything, give us a call. Like, it's one of those letters. Like, are you okay? Like a get well soon letter. He wrote that to a town in Texas because he wanted the United States to just be an ally. Mm-hmm. He wrote letters to senators and was like, stay, chill out. We could work something out. Mm-hmm. And then something happens. Mm-hmm. December 7th, 1941 happens.
Well, before that, though.
Oh, yeah, let's go before that. Yeah,
Zimmerman telegraph.
Hey, Mexico. Could you do me a solid?
No, let me.
Go ahead.
Girl.
You up?
No, not you up. So the tea is scalding right now.
Yeah.
I got this plan. I need a favor. You're over there and I'm over here. What I need you to do is, I know you're still mad and salty about that whole Texas, California thing. If you promise that you'll go up there, if United States tries to come over here, I will make personally sure you'll get all that stuff back. XOXO.
The gall of telling a border neighbor of the United States to try something is brave. Nothing like it in the world. Just brave. Mm-hmm. The fact that they didn't do it, I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall of how they were treating non-white Europeans. Yeah, that probably didn't help their fucking case.
Yeah, because the best thing that they did is what they did, which is, teacher,
yeah,
we got a bad letter we need to show you. We don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. In the United States, it's like, oh, hand it to me.
We got this.
We're going to have a PTA meeting.
Yep. And it's probably something along the lines of, France. Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. We're gonna have a meeting in France, Italy, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland. You up? Like, it is like, yeah. But like, it's one of those kind of situations that, like, I look at the war of World War II, like the whole, like, at a context, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what a fumble.
Yeah. It's a cluster.
This is the Pats losing 70-20. Like, this is it's that.
Yeah.
You were riding high, and then someone just stomped you to fucking death because you fumbled the goddamn ball. I can imagine, of one of those things you hear about, like, if you go somewhere in history, mm-hmm. I would love to go to Germany on December 8th, 1941, in the war room, and Adolf Hitler being told that the Japanese had performed a sneak attack on the United States Western Front in the Pacific, where the Germans do not have a hold. Russia is getting kind of pissed off. And now my ally in the Pacific decided to jump the gun. Mm-hmm. As horrific as Pearl Harbor is.
Yes.
I don't think so. Japan had cultural advisors. Do you know about this? Mm-mm. Cultural advisors who lived in the United States. Mm-hmm. Generals who mm-hmm. lived in the United States at one time. Mm-hmm. One lived in Atlanta and went back and said, hey, these guys are real gung-ho about killing people. Like, it's weird. Their culture is all about that. They treat their own Americans like fellow Americans. They burn crosses in their yards and drag them out of their houses and murder them. They're really good at killing people, even their own. This general told Hirohito himself, they don't give a fuck about human life. This was a cultural study of the United States done by the Japanese before World War II. He's like, there is a divide, but if they focus in on one, they'll get together mm-hmm. and put everything aside to murder that one thing. Mm-hmm. It's fucking terrifying. He's like, this general ended up becoming the general to fight the Marines on Iwo Jima.
Whoa.
He's the one that told him. He's like, the Marines, the United States military aren't people. There's something wrong with them. They beat it out of them. He's like, they beat humanity out of people. Because he described it seeing it in Atlanta. Because he saw
racism.
He saw Parris Island in South Carolina.
Oh.
He saw the Marines being trained and how they're trained. And he's like, and think about this, this comes into play. This is a big factor in Asia. Size of the American.
Yeah.
Is terrifying compared to the Korean or Japanese person. We still use that tactic today at North Korea on the border as a joke, just to fuck with them. They think we're cannibals in North Korea. They think we eat babies. When they send an emissary at the checkpoint, 2 guys are holding his jacket so we don't steal him and eat him. They believe that. They believe that their little guy, their little corporal that is supposed to like go to the border at the little checkpoint unit is being held by the jacket by 2 other guys. So the big American we send over there doesn't eat him in front of them. Oh, and America does send somebody that tends to be over 6'2", like just as a joke, as a mean, cruel joke. They send a giant to like someone my size or bigger. I mean, like, hey, shake my motherfucking hand. Like, they think we're devils. They think that we're white devils. Well, they're probably right, but like, we're demonstrative people.
Well, yet again,
But
I mean, if we're going to talk about propaganda,
to a point, it is.
Yeah.
And to a point, it's fucking true because the Marines, when they go to fucking Iwo Jima, they slaughter the fucking people.
Yeah.
Because they had to. These motherfuckers were fighting to tooth and man, like to the bone. Yeah. And I kind of understand the propaganda. Like, I'm not saying the Japanese are right, but fuck, I understand.
Yeah.
You got a whole species of other humans coming across the ocean to murder us, not fight us, murder us. They're not going to stop either.
Yeah.
Because they believe, just like we believe. Because the Japanese are done more horrific shit than anybody. Nazis are bad. Japanese imperialism is just as bad, in my opinion, worse. With Unit 731. But that'll be during the World War II series. But this guy went back and fought the Marines on Iwo Jima. And said, we're going to fucking lose. Why do you want to fight these people? And even the Japanese were just like, the admirals were like, we took down Pearl Harbor. They'll never come across that ocean. They're done. And what happened? That Japanese guy was right. The United States, overnight, turned into a fucking factory that produced some of the scariest fucking weapons known to mankind for the next 10 fucking years. And then, going back to science, Robert Oppenheimer is like, I got this idea.
We'll drop the sun on them twice.
Well, he didn't say twice. He thought one would do it. He actually thought the threat of one was enough. Because the science was out there. Because Heisenberg in Germany was invented. And the Japanese were not quite fucking around with it because they didn't have the materials for it. But they knew that it existed. That the concept of creating a nuclear device for wartime would be horrific. An end of days kind of weapon.
Yeah.
And there's like, no one's dumb enough to make one of those. But the United States is like, I don't know, this German feller says he can make one. Give him anything he wants. Let's build him a town and see what happens. And it's the most secretive fucking weapon experiment of all time. Area 51's scary, but Los Alamos, New Mexico?
Yeah.
That was the real fucking threat. And the science of creating a nuclear bomb is fucking terrifying.
Yes.
You're talking about splitting an atom. In scientific terms, the first to do it. And not just do it, but do it so fast and quickly that it gives off energy. Pure energy. And in fact, we had to light 1,000 tons of TNT first, just to have something to go by. A megaton of TNT is how we blew up, just to say that, we're going to need this to quantify what an explosion is going to be. And then the joke was, hey, what happens if we pop one off? Oh, it's going to turn into the sun for about 2 seconds. And then we really don't know what happens after that. Or it lights the atmosphere on fire and kills everyone on Earth.
Yeah.
Okay. Let it ride. And by the time it's done, VE Day happens.
Yep.
But the Japanese are still there, and we spent all this money on this gun and this bullet.
We gotta shoot it.
Oh yeah, Christy, of course. I don't buy a gun and not shoot it. That's just wrong. How many guns do you own that you've never shot? Never popped off around the front yard just for shits and giggles?
Not here.
Oh, I would. Keep the property value down, keep my rent down. But yeah, so all this stuff is happening, and then Pearl Harbor happens.
Yeah.
And oh my God, what a fucking liability. No insurance adjuster in years could fucking calculate the amount of fuck up this is going to cost the Japanese military. Because,
or the German military.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. I would pay big money to have a GoPro.
999.
Just like a Glorious Bastard.
Him sweating because he's coming down.
You know he is.
Yeah. And like even
they woke him up. What?
But even from December 7th to 1944, or December 41 to 44, the land invasion of Europe is a coin flip. Like,
yeah,
this might work out, this might not. But thank God he's on meth and his fucking timing is off.
Oh yeah,
because he's coming down. Hitler was coming down the whole time D-Day happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yeah, what a dumbass. And you think about the other ally, Mussolini, who's just like, it's stuck in the middle with you, the song playing the whole time. It's like, clowns to the left, me jokers to the right. Here I am. And it's like, oh, you're fucked. And what did they do? They hung his ass in front of God and everybody. That's what happened to Mussolini. Mm-hmm. No pomp and circumstance of surrender to the United States. No dying in a bunker somewhere like a bitch.
What are your last words?
That was his last words. Gargling on his own fucking spit. Getting choked to death by a goddamn noose.
Well, I mean, even at Nuremberg, they let him have their last words before they hung him.
Nine.
That was always something stupid like always something stupid like God make Germany great again,
or Heil Hitler. Amon Goth. That was his Heil Hitler. Ray Fiennes, what a perfect Nazi. But yeah, kicking off after all that, World War II starts. The end all be all of that creates America. America doesn't exist without World War II. What a time to be alive. To look at this and what a podcast and joke about it.
I wouldn't be a teacher if it wasn't for World War II.
True. We learned about World War II very quickly. I will say that. I think the 4th grade is when I first learned about World War II. And occasionally that the History Channel always had something about the Nazis on television.
Yes.
Always. Mm-hmm. God, that was golden age of television. Now it's about gator hunting and aliens. God, what a downfall. But folks, we're going to end it right there. Continue to listen to us. We're going to keep going through World War II as she teaches it to the school, to her classroom.
I got to teach it in 12 days.
Oh, that's plenty of time.
No, I got to teach World War II and the Holocaust in 12 days.
That's plenty of time. 2 days of World War II, the rest on the Holocaust.
I got to teach World War II, the Holocaust, Papaw's story, and to go through the USS North Carolina.
Yeah. Easy.
I already got it planned.
Easy. I would have been like, hey, folks, you know how all your petty squabbles and bullshit on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat? Imagine that on the world stage. Except one of you's got a gun with two bullets and a backup in his pocket. And you know the third one exists and he just really wants to pop it off.
But none of you knows who it is.
Yeah, but everybody just shuts the fuck up and your assholes get tight. That's World War II. All right, let's talk about the Holocaust. Done. Thanks, Mr. Morrison. It was fun. All right, pick your fucking desk up. Get out of here. Christy, as always, it's always fun. Continue to listen to anything on the Something Good Network. All the shows. This fucking guy show out just about every week with Mikey and Dante. The Something Good show with fucking Alex. Check us out on Triple C and let us know what you want to hear in the Discord.
Have a good one, everybody.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to the Something Good Network. If you liked what you heard, you can follow us on Instagram, and check out the other great shows on the network. Link is in the episode description.